Hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Bill Chasing the Movies, and we are in August as the summer movie season is just rounding the bend now, and will it get any better? Well, we're about to find out. First on this week's show, a movie called The Other Guys, and finally, after years of waiting, a buddy cop film that works. Kevin Smith should sit down and study this film, that what director Adam McKay really pulled off here in this one heck of a funny film. Now, I gotta say, Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg have great chemistry. Now, I've been quite hard on Will Ferrell now for the last couple of years, and rightfully so, because in my opinion his material has taken quite a nosedive into mediocrity. Now, while many like Step Brothers, I found it to wore off after about 45 minutes of being funny and then just kind of, okay, now what, kind of thing. And here, however, this movie remains together all the way through, and I love it. Ferrell gives his best performance in Stranger Than Fiction, and he may be the funniest he's been since Talladega Nights. Now, he plays Alan Gamble, an annoying and at times unknowingly condescending, pencil-pushing police officer, along with Terry Hoyts, a disgraced deskman with very little patience, played very well by the always appealing Mark Wahlberg. Now, you basically know the plot. I mean, these two, of course, are very different. Isn't this the concept for the same buddy cop movie? But what's the thing I say the most on the show, that I repeat the most? Cliches are fine as long as something is done with them, and that's exactly what happens here. Now, of course, they are reluctant partners, but now the premise sounds again all too familiar. But yet, I gotta say, Ferrell and Wahlberg have terrific buddy cop banter. I think the best since the first Rush Hour film, personally. It doesn't really rely on cheap sight gags and one-liner jokes, and while there are some of those, they're funny at least. And these two talk like the polar opposites they are, not merely because of the fact they are, just because they are different people. That's how it is, not because the movie calls for it. They do not know how to deal with one another, and both provide big laughs. It's so refreshing to see Will Ferrell back at the top of his game again. I was really concerned that he wasn't going to have a good movie for a very long time and go into Eddie Murphydom. But yet, I also have to give a lot of credit, however, to Mark Wahlberg. He is fantastic here. He is showing how much he can adjust to comedies, especially with his role in Date Night earlier this year, and he's awesome here. I just think he provides very funny moments with his timing and his delivery, and just even the silence that he provides in some scenes and the facial expressions he gives are just downright hilarious. Now, and I'm glad he just doesn't merely just play the straight man like we see in too many of these films. Now, of course, you got the Chief, and he too is very good, played by Michael Keaton. Now, his timing and delivery are always a winner no matter what movie he does, be it a film like Batman or Multiplicity. Keaton was very good last year in The Merry Gentleman and is coming off a very good voiceover performance in Toy Story 3 as a Ken doll. However, I hope he keeps going as he gets older. He's pushing 60, but I think he's one of those guys that's just going to keep on going and popping up in little supporting work. Hey, I can take that from Michael Keaton, and hopefully he'll star in the occasional indie film here and there. Now, I'd also got to give credit, believe it or not, to Eva Mendes here, who normally I do not like whatsoever. I tolerated her in Hitch, but other than that, she's not been appealing in any other movie she's been in. She's a very good-looking woman, no doubt about that, but still, just not a very appealing actress. And she provides actually some great moments as Ferrell's wife. See that long pause there? That's pretty much Mark Wahlberg's reaction when he first sees her in the scene in the movie, which is a very funny scene when he meets her for the first time. Now, also I gotta give credit to Samuel L. Jackson and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who are pretty much spoofing themselves here in all the badass cop roles that they've ever done, and they obviously look down on the deskmen. The fact is, sometimes a movie can be a hit or miss with this genre. Earlier this year, we had a problem with Kevin Smith's Cop Out, and the problem with that movie was Willis and Morgan had no chemistry whatsoever, and the plot was going nowhere and boring. But the thing about this movie is that while the plot here isn't really that captivating as much more than that film was, the characters here make things interesting, and that's key. And it's a key to every great cop film. It's not like the kidnapping plot in Rush Hour was anything much original. It's just mainly it's a cross-culture comedic film. It's not like the kidnapping plot or the crime at hand is anything original or fun. However, with Cop Out, the fact that everything else was bad, the premise just made it even worse. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing these two pair up a few more times. I think they've really got something with Ferrell and Wahlberg, and quite frankly, to me, this reminds me of the world of how good Ferrell is and adds more stock to Wahlberg's already impressive resume. Now, add all that with great supporting work and a movie that just flows with the laughs and cleverness, and even some fun action sequences, which, while some of them teeter of going over the top, they don't take it too far. And I love this film. It ranks right up there with She's Out of My League as the funniest comedy this year. I give The Other Guys 4.5 stars out of 5.